All right, welcome back to pycse. Today we'll talk about functions in Python. Functions are used all over the place in solving nonlinear algebra functions, in solving differential equations, in optimization, and anytime you need to write code that you want to reuse with different values, we're talking about writing functions. And the fun with functions in Python booklet is really to help you understand all the options that are available in doing this. So we start out, this is a supplement to the introduction to pycse, intermediate pycse, pycse for labs, optimization, and differential equations. There are functions all over that, but they only kind of give you the introduction to what's the bare bones of function. And so this booklet goes through several topics here that starts out kind of an introduction. How do you define a function? The keyword, the function name, some arguments. It defines some jargon for you in terms of positional and keyword arguments, doc strings, and so forth. It has lots of examples of the foundation of writing a function. Like this is the simplest one argument, one return value. And we talk a lot about things that can go wrong because when you're starting, you make mistakes in writing functions, and it's helpful to see them. Then we talk about intermediate topics. That's the next level where you talk about how to make document strings so you know what your function does. You can have functions with multiple arguments so that there's two or more things in the argument list. Functions with arrays are a little bit different with NumPy. We talk about optional arguments, so you can have default values for some things here, and arbitrary number of positional arguments, arbitrary keyword arguments, and then putting all of those together where, for example, you have positional arguments, arbitrary positional arguments, keyword argument, and then arbitrary keyword arguments that you can put together. And then finally in this section, multiple return values, where you can have a function return, say, 3 different things, and we talk about how to do that and how to use those. Under advanced topics, we talk a little bit about variable scope so that you have a good understanding of what happens if you have a variable name inside your function that exists outside the function, and how to work with those and do that. We talk about functions that may have multiple return statements. So here's an example where if we get here, it returns in this branch, otherwise it returns in this branch. Just to give you an idea that you can use that. We talk about functions that return functions. So it's possible to make a function that makes a function. Sometimes that's useful. And we talk about some advanced unpacking concepts that are sometimes useful when you think about multiple return values. And then we wrap up with anonymous functions, also known as lambda functions. These are simple one-line unnamed functions that are useful in some cases. And we talk about partial functions, where you can take a function with a lot of arguments and then make a partial version of it with some of the arguments being set. So there's some reasons why you would want to do that, for example, to change the order of arguments or things like that. And then we conclude with some ways that you can go wrong in making functions, things that will act in ways that you might not expect. And the most common one in my experience is using mutable default arguments, where you have a default of a list, and because it's mutable, you will get some behavior that you don't fully expect. Okay, so that is the introduction to functions. It's actually a pretty thorough and comprehensive overview of functions in Python, and it may not be everything you need at the beginning, but eventually you find yourself needing these kinds of capabilities and features, and so we have this book to cover your needs. So thanks for listening. If you like the video, please subscribe to the channel and leave me a note if you find it helpful. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.